Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Cricket Mehfil. I am your host, Behram Qazi, and with me I have resident host at Grassroots Cricket, the much-loved Hassan Hussain Qureshi. And today we'll be previewing the all-important three-match test series that Australia is set to play in Pakistan. Of course, the Australian team has arrived, and they're touring Pakistan after a long 24-year wait, which is quite massive. And Hassan Bhai, I just want to ask you first up, how pumped are you for this, and how important is this tour?
Just look at this, Behram. This is how pumped I am that it's like, what is it? It's 1:30 in the morning. I'm dressed up for it. I'm so excited. I've been lucky enough to have watched Australia play in Pakistan a couple of times. Never thought it would be 24 years before they're back again. And look, I need to get over the heartbreak of the PSL final. Pakistani cricket fans are missing the PSL. What better way than to play Australia at home after so long? And let's be honest, Australia always thrash us when we go there. We need to play them at home and hopefully thrash them so we feel a little better about ourselves, because Australia's become more than a bogey team. It's become that team that always finds a way to break all our hearts. And just Australia being here, Behram, it's amazing. I can't put it into words. I'm extremely pumped. And I know all Pakistani fans are... We've sold out the test match, Behram. We've sold out the first 4 days of the test match. That tells you how much people are looking forward to this.
Definitely, Hassan Bhai, and there is, of course, a score to settle, and not just are Australia touring after 24 long years, but Australia also the number one team in the world right now. So that really elevates the stakes of this series, and also the fact that the World Test Championship points table, Pakistan and Australia find themselves close to the top. So there is a lot at stake here. So in that context, Hassan Bhai, how important is this? And just the fact that very recently, some notable cricketing nations pulled out of their tours to Pakistan last minute. They withdrew, and Pakistan cricket was very hurt by this. How important is it for Pakistan cricket that the star-studded Australian team is now touring Pakistan for a full tour, 3 test matches, 3 ODIs, and 1 T20? And what impact will this have on Pakistan's cricket?
But first question, very important. With regards to the World Test Championship, Pakistan want to be there. All right. We all saw the final last time in England between India and New Zealand. We loved it. We loved the idea of 2 teams playing for a final. What a game that was. We want to be there. Okay. We want to win all the trophies. We've held the mace. We had it for just that little amount of time. We want it back. I think Pakistan cricket will feel that our strength and depth after so long is in the kind of place where we want to be winning these things. Okay. We're playing at home. We're playing the number 1 team in the world. We're playing a team that historically has had the edge on us for a very, very long time. Australia have won 2 series in Pakistan. Pakistan have won 0 series in Australia. Okay. We need to take on Australia, and it's very close. And look, if you can win this series, the confidence that the Pakistan cricket team, a young Pakistan cricket team, Behram, still a young captain, a lot of people with their doubts about Babar Azam, the test player, a lot of people talking about him in the PSL. So all of that. Then how big is it that Australia is here? October, November, Pakistan is heartbroken. Okay, England pull out for nothing. New Zealand pull out before we're on their way to play the game. We have waited so long, and our people have worked so hard to bring cricket back to Pakistan that I think it's fair to say that it shattered us. Then the PSL. I'm going to keep using this line for the rest of my life that you came up with, because it's the best description. It's a giant hug. It's a festival of cricket that brings Pakistanis together. Okay, roll on to playing the world's number 1 team. It's huge for Pakistan that Australia are here. A full strength, star-studded Australia are here. Steve Smith is here. David Warner is here. Mitchell Stark is here. Paddy Cummins is here, and Behram, Usman Khwaja is here. Okay, our very own Pakistani Australian superstar, possibly the most loved Australian in Pakistan. He's here. He's talking in Urdu. It's so amazing. It's brilliant. It's so good for Pakistan cricket to have Australia here. And I think for us to go back to being that nation that people, that countries tour and look forward to, we need to have Australia have an amazing tour. And it's a perfect tour. 3 test matches, just the right amount of test matches. 3 one-days. Love it. A throwback to the old days. 1 T20. It's a perfect tour. It's, inshallah, a perfect way for Pakistan to bring cricket back home. And I cannot wait for it to be the most amazing series of all time.
And I think, Hassan Bhai, it's the biggest series Pakistan have hosted since India 2006. That's just the aura of the series and the importance. And you talk about how New Zealand and England withdrew last minute in October, November. But this has been a long journey for Pakistan. We haven't hosted international cricket regularly. And even now, in the last few years when we started, teams wouldn't send their full strength teams, but Australia has. And for that, we thank Cricket Australia. But really, I think the magnitude of this series is nothing short of magnanimous. And with that, I will segue into the next segment, Hassan Bhai. Now, Australia have just won the Ashes. They have just become the world number one team, and they are in high spirits. As opposed to Pakistan, I think the preparation isn't quite enough. They are lacking in the preparation department because they haven't played red ball cricket in quite a while, and they're just coming off a PSL tournament which was so exhausting. So there's definitely fatigue that comes into play. And then also you've had numerous injuries to some of your top performers. Hassan Ali, Fahim Ashraf, they were both really, really crucial to Pakistan's test endeavors. And then also losing Abid Ali due to health issues. So Pakistan finds itself in a bit of a pickle. We've also lost Haris Rauf to COVID, so he won't be featuring in the Pindi test. And all over, I feel like, there is this air of lack of preparation. And I'm a bit worried. What about you?
But normally I would be worried. But I think what's going to get the guys through this is adrenaline. Yes, we've had a very tough, physically demanding PSL. You and me as a rival fan crying to Shaheen, please don't dive, please don't dive. Yes, I wanted the ball to go for four, but I didn't want him to get hurt. Missing Haris, don't want to miss Haris. Haris is that secret weapon. He has something different to him. At the same time, Babar's had some time off. Noman Ali has been playing red ball cricket. Guys like Rizwan and Shaheen, they just switch on, and the test of playing against Australia and Pakistan, I think that's going to get a lot of guys through. I'm a little bit worried about the injury news regarding Azhar Ali because he's so important to us. I would have liked to have had a replacement of the caliber of Asad Shafiq available, but I understand the selectors have moved on. They want to give young players a chance. Some injury worries, yes. Fahim will be a big miss. I feel people underrate him, don't give him the respect he deserves. Hassan will be a big miss, but it's good news that they both might possibly be fit for the second test. Worries and stresses, yes, but overall, you just imagine that the magnitude of the occasion will lift the boys up, and you just know Babar Azam, after getting all that criticism, is going to be waiting to unfurl a beautiful cover drive Latin century to let them know who's boss. So, yeah, what better way than taking on Australia in Australia? An angry Rizwan. What more can we ask for? A pumped up Shaheen who's just won a trophy at the age of 21 as captain. So, yeah, worried, but at the same time, excited. I do feel, Australia haven't had that much time in Pakistan either. They got it on the day of the final. They've had to isolate themselves and then get training. And this is new territory, Behram, for a lot of those Australian players. So I think it evens it out a little bit.
I'm loving that optimism, Hassan Bhai, and you've definitely got my juices flowing as well. You brought up how professional cricketers in the modern day, they have to switch that mindset in a very short amount of time, switching from T20 cricket to test cricket. And I'm sure Shaheen and Rizwan will be capable enough to do exactly that. I just hope that their fitness also holds. And you brought up Azhar Ali, he might have a concussion. And, even though that will hurt Pakistan, it could pave the way for someone like Saud Shakil, who has been waiting in the wings for quite a while. And it could give him that opportunity to shine on the biggest occasion.
It could, and he'd deserve it. His red ball record in Pakistan is brilliant. We could try something slightly different also and go with a little bit more experience. Right now, we're talking about, potential opening options with Abdullah, Imam, Shan, maybe play all three of them. If Azhar Bhai is unavailable, which I hope he's not because he's so important to us as that senior player, and he will want to play. I mean, this is a guy with a double hundred against Australia and Australia. So what's there to stop him with getting 300 or 400 against Australia in Pakistan? Azhar Bhai thinks big. When he goes big, he goes big. And then also, yes, missing Haris, but unleashing Naseem. We all remember how he did the last time we played in Pindi. So that wouldn't go amiss. And just, I think there are, thankfully, Behram, enough options in this squad. There are enough people for us to work with. So can go in like that. I just think overall, and again, a very important test, Behram, for Saqlain Mushtaq, because as head coach, he's only so far had the T20 games. He didn't get a chance in the other ones. So for him to go into it as a test match coach, and I think a lot of people don't realize, a lot of the younger viewers might not realize that, we talk about Saqib Bhai, the white ball bowler, but Saqib Bhai, the red ball bowler, wasn't far behind. He was setting records and, breaking stereotypes. Off spinners can't be attacking wicket takers. He was taking 20 wickets against India in India. So I think he brings that mindset. He brings that calmness. I'm very excited to see how he goes about where he has 5 days with the boys as opposed to just having 20 or 40 overs with them. So lots to look forward to, and I think we can be cautiously optimistic, not be overly optimistic like me, but maybe we can be cautiously optimistic.
You brought up a lot of valid points over there, Hassan Bhai, and we will deep dive into the squad analysis later. But right now, I want to shift the focus to the first test at Rawalpindi. I want to talk to you about the conditions. Now, the Pindi wicket has always been known for having a bit of bite for the pacers. So I'm expecting both teams to go a bit pace attack heavy in this test match. And then also, how important do you think the toss might be, given that the conditions look a bit dry? And we all know in the subcontinent, come day 4 and 5, the wicket starts to take a bit of turn. So what's your take on all of that?
Yeah, I think the toss will be important. I'd like Pakistan to win the toss and bat, even if there's a little bit of bite early on in the wicket and Australia have an exceptional pace attack. I'd like us to sort of blunt them out. I know people will be like, what, boring? No, look, you need to play attritional cricket. This is the subcontinent. It's lovely weather in Pindi, which is really annoying. I wish it was a little hotter, hot enough, although the Aussies are used to heat. But I just think it looks a good wicket that might set up to a couple of big first innings scores, and then the second innings become very important. And I would not want to be batting last. I think it's just a mental thing, especially when you consider that Nomi and Sajid, if he plays, they are absolutely. You can do your homework, you can do your analysis. Facing them out in the middle in the first time will be very different. And then both of these guys have exceptional domestic records, something the Australians won't have had much experience with. So for Pakistan, and then of course maybe Zahid plays. I think this is where we'll feel the loss of Fahim, because he comes in as that third bowling option. Really good batsman in Test cricket. The way he's averaging allows you to play 2 spinners. Do we take that risk and play 2 spinners? I think we might. I think Pakistan might be slightly more risky and play 2 spinners, or do we go to our a brand new off-spinning sensation, Babar Azam, now that he's got a wicket? So do we try something like that? I think we might go in like that, Param. Simply, it might play with Australia's head. Why are they playing 2 spinners? We're only going in with a very brilliant Nathan Lyon, should be said. So I think they might go pace heavy. I think we might have a little bit more balance to the attack. Again, win the toss, bat first, put runs on the board. You will immediately put the other side under pressure.
Very well then, and yes, I do agree as well that bat first seems to be the better option over here. Let's just hope that it doesn't rain too much, Hassan Bhai, because there is forecast for rain on days 3, 4 and 5. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that one, viewers, and I'll move on to the next segment, which is Pakistan's lineup. Now, lots to discuss over here, Hassan Bhai. Of course, Pakistan has been hit by a plague of injuries, and I'd like to come to the openers first. Now, we all know how well Abid Ali was performing. He hit that 100 in Bangladesh and was in cerebral form. And losing him due to health issues with respect to his heart has been a big blow to Pakistan. But then you've got youngsters like Abdullah Shafiq, who scored twin 50s in his test debut and has impressed in the PSL as well. He has all the range of shots and is quite classy with the bat. Young, but still very, very promising. And then you've got quite a few options over here, don't you? You've got the experienced Shan Masood, who's made his way back into the team, fought hard, scored some hundreds at the tail end of the Quaid-e-Azam Trophy in testing conditions, had a fantastic PSL, and now he finds himself back in Pakistan's test ranks. And then you've got Imam ul Haq, who also scored some runs early on in the Quaid-e-Azam Trophy. Of course, the wickets were a bit batting friendly then, but he went on to make a massive score. And then also, I'd like to bring in Azhar Ali into this conversation of openers as well, Hassan Bhai, provided he's fit, because Azhar has opened in the past. He's opened successfully for Pakistan, and that might allow you to play Saud Shakil at 3. So what combination do you think Pakistan should play, and what combination do you think Pakistan will go with?
But I think a lot of that will depend, obviously, on availability. If Azhar's out, you change things. I really agree with you regarding Abid. Losing him is a big blow. Can't wait to see him back playing soon, inshallah. The way he started his career, especially on domestic surfaces, he's such a brilliant batsman to have. Very right about Abdullah. Very exciting. I thought he was just beautiful in that Bangladesh game. The way he batted, the way he played. Shani, of course, Shani making his way back. Shani did well the last time he played Test cricket in Pakistan also. He'll be eager to prove himself. Ditto Imam, eager to prove himself, eager to show that he belongs at this level. Did have a very good first-class season. You have to give him credit. If Azhar Ali isn't available, how do we go about it? So if Azhar is available, I think considering from what I've heard from people that there's been a lot of time that Imam has spent practicing as a close infielder, you'd imagine we'd go Abdullah, Imam, and Azhar as the top three. I'm okay with that. I think these are guys who can spend a long time in the field, put the opposition under pressure. They won't score very quickly, but they'll tire the opposition out. And then that gives people like Babar and Fawad an opportunity coming down. So no issues with that. If you have to miss out Azhar for any reason, Shani can come in. Saud on his debut can come in and make his debut. Okay with all of those options. Wouldn't mind Shani over Saud simply because I still believe it's a very tough team to make your debut against. Also, Shan gives you the option of two left-handers, which can be a bit of a problem if they're playing Nathan Lyon. But if they're playing Ashton Agar also, it'll be something in the back of their mind to think about. Babar, obviously, Fawad. You miss Fahim, so you have to think to yourself, who do you replace Fahim with? Do you go with someone like Iftikhar, who's been called up to the squad? Do you go? I feel Bahram it's too soon for Mohammad Wasim. I love him. Think he's a great cricketer. Think people need to get off his back. But a test against Australia, I think it could be a bit much. So yeah, the top three, if everybody's available, I'd go for that. But I think whether South plays or Shan plays at three, I think we could be okay there also.
Some very valuable insight over there by the finest we have at grassroots cricket. Hassan bhai, I will say that I'm leaning towards playing Shan over Imam over here just because of the experience factor. He's done it before. He's played this Australian pace attack in much tougher conditions. So I would be leaning towards him. But then also, Imam has been waiting in the wings for longer in this current test team. And then we've seen a sort of hierarchical approach in Pakistan's test management where they reward people who have been with the team longer first. So based on that, and of course, Imam is practicing close in fielding. So I think based on all of that, Pakistan will go with Imam, Abdullah, and Azhar. But then again, I just have a feeling that playing Shan Masood over Imam and kind of breaking that trend might be a bit useful over here.
I would agree. I would absolutely agree. I'm a big Shan fan. I also think he brings in experience. He's a very good fielder. Yeah, I know people don't take it seriously, but if you need someone to roll their arm over for a couple of overs in the middle against South Africa, he took that absolutely amazing wicket also. So I would too, but I think maybe you're right. They are leaning towards Imam. He's been waiting in the wings. Someone who also gets a lot of criticism. So I think he'll be keen to go out and prove his detractors wrong. And what better than a first test century, We saw it last time when South Africa were touring Bahram that a lot of people said, oh, but can Fawad play on home conditions? And that I think that 100 that he made is what won us the game. So someone needs to step up like that. And then these guys need to give Babar the platform of them taking up the deliveries, being in good score. So Babar has freedom to attack. Might be very interesting to go with Iftikhar at 6 because Rizwan in Test is also another very attacking option you have lower down the order. And then if you play Iftikhar, maybe you can play more paces. So lots of options for Pakistan to think about. As long as those options are the right mix of attack and pragmatic at the same time, I think we'll be okay.
We've spoken about the top order at length. And of course, Pakistan's middle order is stacked with top performers. You've got Babar Azam at 4, Fawad Alam at number 5, and of course, arguably the best wicketkeeper across formats in Mohammad Rizwan at 6. Now, you spoke of Fahim Ashraf. Hassan bhai, how good has Fahim really been throughout Pakistan's 2021 in Test cricket? He's scored valuable runs at the bottom. He's counter-attacked. He gets you that odd wicket, and he really is that glue that holds Pakistan's batting order together, and he provides the team with essential balance. Considering Pakistan does not have any other seam bowling all-rounder, how critical do you think Fahim's absence is going to be for Pakistan? And then you spoke about Iftikhar Ahmed being as a potential replacement. I think he's pretty much the only replacement at this point because, to your point, replacing Fahim Ashraf with Mohammad Wasim Jr., who is very new to the arena, I don't feel like throwing him in the deep end right now would be a very wise call either. So you're really left with Iftikhar. Now, you talk about the Pacers, and since Haris has been lost due to COVID, you really have limited options. I feel like Pakistan will have to go with Shaheen, Naseem, and Abbas, and they really don't have any other choice. And that leaves the last frontline spin bowler vacant because who do you play now? Do you play Noman Ali, who will provide that slow left arm orthodox angle? It might be a bit risky to play Sajid because you want that leg spinner and fast bowler combination. And we don't quite know if Sajid can fulfill the role of a lone spinner just as yet. And then you've got the option of Zahid Mahmood, who is an attacking leg spinner. So he adds a lot of depth to our spin bowling resources at the moment. But if you go with three pacers, you have that conundrum. Who do you play as the frontline spinner? So what's your take on Pakistan's lower order, and how do you think Pakistan is going to go about fixing or, well, managing this damage control with respect to their bowling attack?
Very valid point, Behram. Very valid point. Firstly, about Fahim, it's amazing how much disrespect he gets. Look at him from his debut to now. Okay, look at his test numbers. People say when it comes to Fahim, nobody wants to talk about numbers. Everybody's like, oh, you can't talk about his average. Everybody else, oh, look how good his average is. Fahim, no, he's average. Don't look at the runs he makes for you. Look at that match against South Africa. Having that guy come in at 7, counter attack or defend, he has been an exceptional batsman in Test cricket for Pakistan. I just can't believe that we're just happy to discard numbers when it comes to Fahim because we don't like Fahim. That's really unfair. Give him his due. He has been exceptional for you. It's a huge loss. It's a big miss. It upsets our entire balance. It's like being a football team and not having your first choice center back or not having your first choice striker or your first choice goalkeeper. He is all those things for us, but we have to manage. We have to make do. Hassan Ali can bat, very important. So we lose out 2 very important players who can bat. What do we do?
And not
Who do
just
we go?
that, Hassan Bhai. Hassan has been exceptional in Test cricket over the last year, ever since his comeback. He was one of the leading wicket takers, and I think he had a fair shot at making that Test team of the year as well.
He did, because he came back and became the first Pakistani fast bowler since Waqar Yunus, was it, to take 10 wickets at home. And he didn't do it against, I'm sorry, with the greatest of respect, every time I see Pakistan's detractors talking about lower ranked teams, he did it against a pretty good South African side. So it is a big miss. Hassan is a miss. Fahim is a miss. They're huge misses. Now, what do we do? If we play Rizu at 7, you have to play Iftikhar at 6. If you play Rizu at 6 and go in with 5 bowlers, are we taking a risk? I absolutely don't think you play Mohammad Wasim Jr. I don't think it's because he can't cut it. I back him. I think he's brave. I think he's tough. I think he'll give it his all. But it's asking too much of a young man who's already coping a lot of unfair criticism for showing some bravery for Pakistan. Some people can say you reward that bravery, but he's not had those numbers in red ball cricket yet. Okay, now we come to possibly playing 2 spinners because both Nomi and Sajid can bat. They can bat okay. I'm not saying they're all-rounders, but they can bat in domestic cricket. But are we taking that risk? If you play Iftikhar, he can kind of come in with that off spin that you would have kept for Sajid as a lone off spinner. Now, Sajid will feel really bad about being dropped because he was amazing against Bangladesh. Okay, and if you've had the opportunity recently to go and see his story, it is extremely inspiring how many hurdles he has overcome to get that star on his cap, to play for Pakistan. So someone like that, Behram, is never going to take it easy. They're never going to rest on their laurels. Then there's the worry of Australia having someone like David Warner. But I think Noman kind of picks himself. Now, the 3-pace bowling option would have been easier if you had Fahim to go in with 2. A lot of people writing Abbas off, saying he's lost some pace. I never felt he needed pace. If the wicket has a bit of swing to it, we saw what he did to the Australians in the UAE. Imagine him bowling to them in conditions that have a bit of swing. Had another exceptional season in county cricket, Abbas. Very happy for people to write him off, only for him to come back and, take those words and shove them down their throat. Naseem, happy for Naseem. We will miss Haris, but I'm happy to see Naseem. He's had a whole season of first-class cricket behind him for South Punjab. And then Shaheen, on his day right now, touch wood, the form he's in, the fire that he's in, just tell them Australia are Multan Sultans and he'll blow them away and, everything's set. We're going to be okay. I think you do go in with the 3 pacers. I would go in, and this is very tough for me because I absolutely love Zahid Mahmood, but I would go in maybe with Iftikhar to strengthen the batting and play Nomi as the other spinner and play with 4 bowlers. I think you need to, at the start of the series, Behram, maybe be a little pragmatic. I think we should have Iftikhar as a trump card who can bowl spin in the second innings if needed. And again, look, KPK side that won all the domestic titles, Iftikhar was there. Iftikhar will be itching to prove himself on home conditions. He'll be itching to prove that he deserves to be that MVP. So maybe not the worst thing, giving him that opportunity, Inshallah, I'm manifesting an Iftikhar 100 and a 5-4 in the second innings. So we do have to take those risks because playing Wasim is a no-no. Do we really want to risk going in with 5 bowlers, Behram? Even if they're as good as Sajid or Zahid? I don't know. I think mentally somewhere in the back of our minds, we'll think 5 bowlers. What if Rizu gets out? Yes, Nomi and Sajid can bat for a bit, but can they get us those runs? I think whichever team bats is definitely batting first is looking at 350 plus. Anything below that, they're going to be disappointed with. So I think we'll go in with Iftikhar and maybe leave Sajid out, play Noman. And I think the 3-pace attack will have to be. It has to be. Do you drop Abbas and play Wasim purely as a bowler because you add his batting? But Abbas has that accuracy. Lots to think about, Behram. But I think this is the way I see us possibly lining up. 6-7 with Iftikhar and Rizwan, and then Naseem, Noman, Shaheen, and Abbas.
I'm going to have to agree with you over there, Hassan Bhai, because I think that Pakistan will require some batting depth. I think it's essential towards the team balance. And if Iftikhar does somewhat plug that hole, of course, Fahim also brings a lot of control with his bowling. And I'm not quite sure how Iftikhar will fare bowling off spin versus this Australian team. But then again, Pakistan does not have any options. So I'm also going to go with Iftikhar as that all-rounder. Then you've got a 3-pronged pace attack in Shaheen, Naseem, and Abbas. And as tempted as I am to play Zahid Mahmood as that sole leg spinner, I feel like even though it's an attacking option, Zahid hasn't really played Test cricket for Pakistan yet. And just because Noman has that experience and has some performances to look back at and gain confidence from, I think he will be better suited to play the first Test at Pindi. Now, moving on to Australia's Test lineup. Hassan Bhai, this is as star-studded as it gets. They have some absolute superstars in there. And I think they're probably going to go with a very similar 11 to what they had in the Ashes the last few tests. They're going to open with local boy Usman Khwaja and, of course, Davy Warner. Then you've got Marnus Labuschagne, Steve Smith, Travis Head, Alex Carey. So that is a very formidable top 6. And I don't even think we need to waste a lot of time talking about it because I'm quite certain these are the guys who are going to play. So I'm going to move directly to their bowling attack. Of course, one of the most feared bowling attacks in world cricket. You've got Mitchell Starc. You've got Pat Cummins, the captain, who has been phenomenal for Australia in Test cricket. He's been arguably one of the best bowlers in this format in the world of late. And then also you've got Josh Hazlewood returning from injury. Now, even if Hazlewood is not fit, you've got the option of Scotty Boland, who was exceptional for Australia in the Ashes. And then Nathan Gary Lyon is one of the top off-spinners in today's game. I'd rank him just behind Ravichandran Ashwin. So the bowling attack too is pretty much sorted. The only question is, will Cameron Green play? Because he's been decent for Australia recently. But then will Australia want to go with another seam bowling option? Probably not. And that opens up a spot for either slow left-arm orthodox bowler Ashton Agar, who is quite handy with the bat as well. And if Australia want to be very brave, they can go in with the leg spinner Mitchell Swepson, who's been itching to get out on the field and get an opportunity for Australia. So I think that is the only area where they need to focus on. And what do you think they should do, Hassan Bhai?
Pick a side that'll hopefully lose. That's what I think they should do. But it's Australia. They're not going to do that. 2 little nuggets to add to that, Behram. Firstly, Davy Warner's last test scores against Pakistan. 335 not out, 154, 55, 113, 144. Boys, don't drop Davy Warner. Okay, that's one. Secondly, do they play Cam Green? What riches to have. Cam Green, big guy, the kind of guy that maybe if you play Cam Green, Pakistanis, sometimes, Behram, we tend to struggle against those guys who keep it line and length, okay? Josh Hazlewood, as good as it gets. And who do you have to replace him? A guy who got 6 for 7 on his debut at the MCG. So you're not giving us anything. The Aussies are not giving you a sniff. Cameron Green, not in the same mold, but he's a big guy. He'll get bounce on a wicket that already has bounce. Sometimes the Australians might feel the Pakistanis will struggle a little bit against bounce. Exceptional batsman. Really, really good batsman. Cameron Green coming into his own. Has that long reach. Will be able to maybe negate the spinners, create those issues. If you don't play him, you play Ashton Agar. What did he get? 98 on debut, batting at number 11. Yep. He's no mug with the bat. Really decent bowler. Maybe not as much of a wicket-taking option, but he's a guy who can plug away, has a lot of control. He's matured. He's learned. Swepson might be a step too far. Look, because I think in Gary Lyon, they've got a player who is a big match player, a guy who gets wickets in subcontinental conditions. So they might back him even as a lone spinner. I think, though, that they'll go with Agar just to give them that control, just to try and see that, okay, if Pakistan, because again, Behram, we're both aware, left-arm spin, Pakistan's kryptonite. We turn every left-arm spinner into the second coming of Sir Gary Sobers every time they play against us, whether it's home or away. So it's about those things. You might think to yourself, Australia struggle against leg spin. Do we give Zahid an opportunity to just go out there and rip it? Zahid bowls the big ones, It would be such a beautiful story to see a boy from Sindh playing test cricket for Pakistan, being the first one to do so, a Sindhi-speaking guy. But at the same time, you've got to be pragmatic. Australia might also be a bit pragmatic. They'll keep Hazelwood's record against the likes of Babar and against the likes of Rizwan in the back of their mind. We just need to hope maybe he's not 100% fit. But I think they'll go in three pacers, might leave out the all-rounder and go for the left-arm spinner because Agar can bat also. Unless they're looking at a few overs of leg spin from Labuschagne, who made his debut in an away tour of Pakistan and picked up a few wickets then, and maybe looking at some overs from Steve Smith. But no, they have to basically pick between Agar and Cameron Green. I think the rest of the side picks itself better.
Fair enough. And you brought up a lot of valuable points over there. I'd just like to reiterate on a few. Of course, you mentioned Marnus Labuschagne can roll his arm and he can bowl leg spin. I think he might prove to be very, very crucial for Australia in this series. And then I'll have to agree with you with Ashton Agar. You brought up Pakistan's struggles versus left-arm orthodox spin. Well, also Babar Azam had quite a lot of trouble against Keshav Maharaj earlier in 2021. So there's that, Hassan Bhai. And they will be tempted to play Agar. I think we've spoken enough about the lineups. Let's go to the pre-series predictions. Hassan Bhai, what do you think? Give me a scoreline.
Oh, man. Look, I think this Australian team is tough. I think they're really, really tough. For Pakistan, I think it's going to be a close series. I'm going to go with Pakistan because we're playing at home. I'm going to be very generous because I think it's a bit unfair. But I'm just going to invoke a little bit of history here, Behram. The last side that won an Ashes tour and toured Pakistan was England in 2005.
Yep.
We beat them 2-0. Inshallah, that to repeat itself. Pakistan to win 2-0. I think we should be able to do it. This is a very good Australian side. Beating them would be a huge achievement. But come on, we're playing at home. We've sold out the grounds. Our fans are going to be there. I don't see Team Pakistan disappointing the fans. 2-0 to Pakistan with wins at Pindi and, of course, wins at Lahore. We always win at Lahore.
Well, I hope you're right with your prediction, Hassan Bhai. And given the fact that the Pindi test might be washed out here, I'm going to be a bit conservative and go with 1-1. I know you viewers might seem like this is a downer, but I genuinely feel that this Australian team is good enough to win a test match in Pakistan. And since we might only get 2 test matches, I feel like 1-1 might be the scoreline at the end. But anyway, thank you so much, Hassan Bhai, as always, for appearing as a guest and letting me host the show. It's always a privilege.
Brother, it has been such an amazing journey covering this with you. I see people coming and talking about how brilliant you are. I already know that because I get to do it with you every time. I can't wait to preview the ODI series after, inshallah, we have a great series. And it's just been so much fun. And again, to all the people who tune in, thank you so much for the love and support you guys show us. It means the world, and and it just makes us want to do better. And from the entire team at Grassroots Cricket, we are so grateful to all of you for all the support you give us.
Those are very humbling words, Hassan Bhai. And yes, all of you must tune in to Grassroots Cricket, like our content, subscribe to our channel. We're trying to change the course of sports journalism in Pakistan, cricket journalism in particular. So help us do that, and do leave your predictions in the comments section below. That's all from us right now. Khuda Hafiz.